not doing us. So there's a midstream, upstream, and a downstream. But we decided to focus on the midstream because we can't do it all, we can't be everything to everybody. So we chose the midstream sector. Now, number 2 was the issue. What are the issues that we found? We found that the non-execution of the 35% affirmation of women inclusion in some organizations. This we did through what Professor had taught us. We did the primary investigation, the research, and we found that there are some organizations that are falling short. For example, the NDPRA has 12% women in the top management team.
Wow.
And we thought, no, this is not nice. Let's see how we can tackle that. Let's see how we can change that narrative. So number 3, who are our stakeholders? We identified them as the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, NCDMB, NMDPRA, Ministry of Women Affairs, NEI, TI, and MAXA, or MAXA. We missed the name there, apologies for that. So these are the stakeholders we identified. Always keep in mind we're looking at the midstream sector. So these are the people, the stakeholders we thought are relevant to that sector. So we did a mapping. So we mapped them out just so that when we do approach any of our stakeholders, we'll be able to speak to them in the language they will understand, because some of them have high interest and low influences. For instance, we mapped out Ministry of Petroleum Resources on the high influence and high interest, low interest, and then DPRA, same thing, that first quadrant, and the second and the third quadrant, as you can see, NCDMB is high influence and high interest. And so this will help us make a decision. Who do we go to first? Who do we tap in their strengths to help us? Who are the weak chain in the whole system? So going to 4, we looked at what are the key challenges and the barriers to WIOT's goal and objective. Remember, we identified the issues here. So we said accessibility to the key stakeholders. Some of them, we might find it difficult to meet with them. We have to do extra legwork to meet them. The second one is implementation of the policies. So again, have they all implemented that policy that would move women from the place of limitation and move them higher of the scale? We need to do a bit more research to find out how many indeed fall into this category. The goal is to ensure the adoption and the implementation of the 35% affirmation of women inclusion as stipulated in the National Gender Policy. This is very important. This is a document that we are running with. This is a document that we want to, as we have been told, we are not going to start something that has not been written before, to show them, to explain to them, to refer to it. So the objective, how do we achieve this goal? We intend to increase the current percentage from 12%. Remember, for example, we had identified NDPRA as having 12%. Of women in the top management team. So we can do this. We take NDPRA as an example. We can move that 12% to 20% in the next 1 year. Okay, it might not look so significant because we're going to the 5%, remember, but we thought let's take it piecemeal. Let's start with 12 to 20, that's about an 8% increase, and let's see what we can leverage on that as we go forward through engagement of our stakeholders. Remember again, go back to the matrix, who are high influencers and our high interest stakeholders, and we can use them. Our 1 minute message. So we looked at, for instance, high influencer. We looked at the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, and okay, so we see the minister one day, we got a conference. Mr. Minister, are you aware that a key agency, NDPRA to be specific, does not have adequate representation of women as stipulated in the 35% affirmation on women inclusion, having only 1 female and 7 males in the management positions? This translates to just 12% of women, as against the 88% of men in their management team. We believe that by giving the story, this very short story, this very short message, it's catchy, it gives them figure, and it's also, it's a figure that is based on facts, because they can look at it. And we were hoping that it would generate interest, it would generate conversation with the minister. So moving on from that, 6, strategy and implementation. So the whole idea is, okay, we've got our goals, we've got our objective. How do we get there? What are the strategies that we'll use to get there? I mean, there's several, but we'll just choose one, because again, we don't want to, be a kitchen sink kind of thing. Everything is exactly pot